In the heart of ancient Rome, when the marble streets still echoed with the steps of senators and soldiers, lived Marcus Varro, a veteran of the legions. He had fought for the Republic in distant lands, but now returned to a city that seemed colder than the frontiers. The Senate was restless, power shifting between generals and politicians, and the people whispered of civil war in the air. Marcus had come home not for politics, but for peace. His small villa on the outskirts overlooked the Tiber, where he planned to live quietly. Yet Rome never allowed a soldier to rest for long. One evening, a messenger arrived bearing a wax-sealed letter. The mark was unmistakable, the emblem of General Lucius Cornelius, an old commander who now sought Marcus's aid for a mission shrouded in secrecy. The letter spoke of a threat not from barbarian tribes, but from within the city itself. A faction in the Senate plotted to overthrow the Republic, using assassins to silence loyal voices. Lucius needed Marcus to uncover their leader before the Festival of Mars, when chaos in the streets would provide the perfect cover for treachery. Marcus felt the old weight of duty returning to his shoulders. That night, Marcus walked through the Forum, the marble pillars bathed in torchlight. He heard senators speaking in hushed Latin, their eyes darting toward him. Rome was beautiful but dangerous. Its beauty was like a dagger's shine. He knew that to find the traitors, he would need to return to the shadows he once walked in the legions, unseen, listening, patient. His first lead came from Gaius, a merchant who owed Marcus his life from a campaign in Hispania. Gaius whispered of clandestine meetings in the Subura district, where politics and crime met like lovers. The place reeked of wine and betrayal, and Marcus would have to tread carefully. Even the stones there seemed to listen, ready to sell secrets to the highest bidder. Dressed in a simple tunic, Marcus slipped into a tavern in the Subura. Smoke curled above clay lamps, and the air was thick with the scent of roasted meat and unwashed men. He sat in a dark corner, feigning disinterest. Soon he overheard two men speaking of the eagle's fall, a phrase he suspected was code. They mentioned a name, Senator Cassius Varinus, a man with many enemies, and perhaps more dangerous friends. The next day, Marcus watched Cassius from a distance. The senator moved with an air of arrogance, his toga bordered in purple, his guards always close. He spoke in the Senate with fire against the generals, yet his eyes avoided those of Lucius Cornelius. Marcus began to piece together a pattern: Cassius's visits to certain houses at night, his exchanges with hooded figures. One evening, Marcus followed him beyond the city gates to an abandoned villa. Through a cracked wall, he saw Cassius speaking with masked men around a bronze table. Maps of Rome lay open, marked with red wax: the Forum, the Senate House, the Armory. The festival of Mars was circled in bold, and Marcus realized the conspiracy was larger than Lucius feared. He returned to Lucius at once, detailing what he saw. The general's face hardened, but he spoke calmly. "We cannot strike too soon, Marcus. If we act without proof, they will paint us as traitors." Lucius instructed him to capture one of the masked men alive to force a confession before the Senate. It was a dangerous task, but Marcus agreed without hesitation. The opportunity came 2 nights later. Marcus ambushed a masked conspirator leaving the villa, wrestling him into the shadows. After a brutal struggle, the man yielded, revealing himself as a Praetorian guard loyal to Cassius. Under threat of the gladius, he confessed to the plot. Cassius intended to unleash fires across the city during the festival, blaming it on the generals to seize power. With the confession in hand, Marcus and Lucius moved swiftly. At dawn, Lucius summoned trusted centurions, their armor gleaming like bronze suns. The Senate would meet that afternoon, and Lucius planned to confront Cassius in front of every witness. But Cassius, cunning as a serpent, had anticipated a challenge and brought his own guards into the curia. The Senate chamber became a battlefield of words and steel. Lucius presented the Praetorians' confession, but Cassius shouted that it was a forgery, a plot to destroy him. The chamber erupted in chaos. Blades were drawn, and Marcus found himself defending Lucius against Cassius's guards. The marble floor was slick with blood before order was restored. In the end, the Senate voted to exile Cassius to the far provinces. It was a victory, but not without cost. Several senators lay dead, and the city's trust was fractured further. Marcus stood in the forum afterward, watching citizens debate whether justice had truly been served. He knew that in Rome, victories were never pure. They were bought with shadows and sacrifice. Lucius offered Marcus a command in the legions once more, but Marcus declined. His heart was tired of war, and he wished only to walk the banks of the Tiber in peace. Yet he knew that the peace of Rome was an illusion, a fragile, always under threat from those who hungered for power more than life itself. As the festival of Mars came, the city was alive with drums and banners. Children ran laughing through the streets, unaware how close Rome had come to ruin. Marcus walked among them quietly, the smell of roasting meat and fresh bread filling the air. He smiled faintly, knowing his actions had given them this day, even if no one would ever know his name. Under the fading light, Marcus sat by the river, watching the golden reflection of the city shimmer on the water. Rome would endure, as it always had, through blood, betrayal, and the iron will of those willing to stand in the shadows. And though his sword now lay sheathed, Marcus Varro knew the oath of a soldier was never truly broken.